And we're getting the group together. Power, boom, one. Oh no, power two. Wow, falling over equipment. All right, welcome. You are welcome to jump in with your asset protection questions. We're just getting set up here. Oh yeah, I gotta get the back camera turned on. Video. Turn that away. Ooh. Right. It's a lot of light in my eyes. There we go. TikTok live. Good want. All right, TikTok, you want to jump in with some questions this morning? We can start talking about the different jurisdictions you can set up an asset protection trust in. Lots of different jurisdictions, and lots of different viewers here. Feel free to jump in with your asset protection questions. It's a rainy morning here in Miami, but we're going to have some fun this morning talking various things about asset protection. So what's the best jurisdiction to set up an asset protection trust? Great question. Well, having traveled to dozens of different jurisdictions throughout the world, I can tell you quite confidently, you're not going to find a better, safer country to do business and set up an asset protection trust in than the Cook Islands. The Cook Islands has been in the business for much longer than any other jurisdiction. There have been thousands of trusts set up in the Cook Islands. With a properly structured Cook Islands trust where there's a trust set up before any litigation arises and there's money in an offshore account, I don't believe there's ever been any money lost from one of these trusts. So asset protection, if you're looking for that, I would definitely start with the Cook Islands. What other questions does everyone have about asset protection this morning? Are we ready for some new legislation in France? I'm not following French legislation, so keep firing away with more questions. Happy to answer anything you want to know about asset protection, protecting your money. There's lots of different options. So is an offshore trust overkill for divorce protection versus something like a South Dakota trust? So great question. How does an offshore trust compare to something like a South Dakota trust? Here's the difference. Asset protection, here's what you need to know. Asset protection is very much a binary concept. You either have a structure which a U.S. court can disregard, or you have a structure which a U.S. court can't disregard. So whether you're in South Dakota, Nevada, or Alaska, you have a structure which a U.S. court could disregard. If you have a trust in Nevis, Belize, Cook Islands, for example, the U.S. court can't touch that trust. So if you want protection, especially from something like a divorce, then having an offshore trust will get you the best result. It may cost a little bit more to set up initially, but in the long run, it will cost a lot less because you're going to get a better settlement, you're going to have better protection, you're going to have better peace of mind all throughout. So if you're looking for asset protection, I highly recommend that you look for something offshore. So what else do we want to know about asset protection this morning? We've got quite a few people joining the live stream session here on TikTok, and we're on YouTube as well down there in the corner. Hello, everyone. We've got lots to go through here. Anybody want to talk about protecting a certain asset, for example, cryptocurrency? How do you protect your cryptocurrency? Well, there's a few different ways of protecting cryptocurrency. You can put your cryptocurrency into a trust by assigning to the trust. The trustee will be glad to hold your cryptocurrency. Now, the trustee can turn around and hire you to be the custodian of that crypto. So while there's no pending litigation, you can keep your keys. Now, if litigation does arise, it's best if you don't have the keys yourself. So then at that time, a third-party vault or bank could be the one to hold the crypto. Where does your physical cash have to reside when using an offshore trust? Great. So typically, we will register the trust in the Cook Islands. However, the money itself does not have to be in the Cook Islands. The trust can open a bank account pretty much anywhere in the world. And so under this arrangement, you have a Cook Islands trust, which owns a Swiss bank account, for example. So you take advantage of the most protected jurisdiction in the world for setting up a trust, but then you also take advantage of the best banking system in the world, Switzerland. So typically we'll have a Cook Island trust with a Swiss bank account. Now, in order to open a Swiss bank account, generally you need to have about $1 million in assets. Now, my firm, we do have relationships where we can get accounts open for less than that, for as little as around $500,000. But if you don't even have $500,000, we do have banking relationships in other countries where we can get accounts open for smaller amounts as well. So it just depends on how much money you have. The more money you have, the more access you'll have to different banking options. So here we are back to a live stream session. We've got a few people here joining us. We're in front of beautiful Miami Beach on this rainy Tuesday morning, and I'm firing away with everything you want to know about asset protection. Anything in the news lately you would like me to comment on? Anything exciting happening? Where's everyone from? Feel free to share where you're from, and I will jump in and give some opinion on wherever you're from. Utah, New Jersey. It's been a while since I was in Utah. I make it up to New York City pretty frequently. I have some people who I meet with from outside the United States who come there. I have some clients there as well, some friends. What are the ongoing fees associated with keeping the trust going? So great question. The cost to set up a Cook Islands trust is going to run anywhere from $10,000 to, let me say that again. I've heard prices for a Cook Islands trust, an offshore trust, quoted anywhere from as low as $10,000 to as high as $250,000. Now, most trusts end up costing somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000, and the price will depend on, number one, the experience of the attorney you're working with. Number two, it will also depend on whether there's any pending litigation. It also will have your assets will have some factor, the type, the number of different assets you have, and the amount will have some factor in determining that. And whether there's any threatened or pending litigation, that will all affect the price of the setup cost for a Cook Islands trust. There are annual fees associated with any trust, any legitimate Cook Islands trust. You've got the trustee fee, you have the protector fee, your attorney's going to have a fee, their tax filing reporting requirements. In total, the annual fees for setting up a offshore trust are going to run somewhere between about $5,000 and $10,000 per year. It might be a little bit under $5,000 in some circumstances, and it may go beyond $10,000 for others. In response, what do you get? You get the ability to sleep well at night, knowing that your money is protected. You're not going to have to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars defending or fighting a lawsuit, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars defending or fighting a lawsuit, because you've got yourself a Cook Islands trust in place. So it's an investment, but it's an investment in your nest egg, and it's better than insurance, because with insurance, it only protects you against certain issues. Now, there's always a possibility that you can have a claim that goes beyond policy limits. There's a possibility that a claim may not be covered. Your insurance policy has a long list of exclusions, which your agent does not go over with you at the time that they create the trust, at the time that they sell you the policy. However, when it comes time to stake a claim, when it comes time to make a claim, insurance companies will often try to hide behind certain exclusions. So you want to have insurance generally, but you want to also make sure that you've also protected your assets. So what is Blake up to nowadays? So Blake is actually going to be spending a little bit of time in Miami this summer. This is home for me. I do travel quite a bit, making it out to the various jurisdictions that my clients set up structures in and that my clients hold their assets in. But this time of year is actually my favorite time of year in Miami, because it's not crowded. The traffic's not bad. You can get into a restaurant without reservations, and that ocean water is very warm. So I'm going to be spending some time down here in Miami. If you're tapping and you're holding, not sure what that comment is about, but feel free to fire away with any other comments. I should have promoted this a little bit more. Liability protection, baby. Yes, that's what we're all about, protecting ourselves from liability. We can do that by setting up various entities. Now, if you own something like a piece of real estate, you're going to want to put that real estate into an LLC first, then have that LLC owned by the trust. What do you think is the fastest legal way to be rich? Well, there are lots of different ways to make money. I'm going to say that because don't think that there's only a few ways to make money. There's a lot of different ways to make money, and I don't know that I've got a fast way to do it. Russian battleships and nuclear submarines just reached Cuba. World War III coming. Are you ready? Yes, I just saw that on TikTok. You're not hearing that in the mainstream media. Are we ready and prepared for World War III? I think the reality is we've already entered it. We don't realize it yet. They're not reporting it, but there's a lot that makes me think that we've already entered World War III. So what can you do? Well, unless you are the commander-in-chief of the United States or a very powerful, very wealthy individual, there's not a lot that you can do to affect the war. However, what you can do is protect yourself. As there's more instability in your home country, what you can do is move your assets outside the United States, move your money to a more secure banking system like Switzerland. And this is what happens when things become unstable. There's a flock of wealth that moves itself to the more secure banking system. COVID, the Great Recession, these were all great things for the Swiss banks. And for individuals looking to keep themselves protected from our legal system, you have that bank account owned by a Cook Islands trust. So in terms of other strategies for getting rich, go find a skill, find a way to do some home repair. There's a lot of demand for home repair. So in terms of how to find a quick way to get rich, I would say look at your skill set or what it is you're good at, not your passion. Passion is not going to get you rich, but skills, what you're good at. And eventually what you're good at, you will eventually develop some type of passion for. But first figure out what it is that you're good at, and then niche down that area and go after it hard. Can you put gold and silver into a Cook Islands trust? Absolutely. You can hold lots of different things in your Cook Islands trust: stocks, bonds, different fiat currencies, Swiss franc, the euro, the US dollar, gold, silver, cryptocurrency. Yes, you can either have your gold that you keep in the United States owned by your offshore trust, or it would be better to move that gold and silver into an offshore vault, most likely in Switzerland or perhaps in Singapore. So yes, definitely you can hold precious metals in your Cook Islands trust. All right, so we've got successful, amazing, happiness, and please, all great words, but where are we going with this TikTok live? Is TikTok going to get banned? Well, I certainly hope not, but if so, it's going to be okay. TikTok only represents about 10% of my business. I'm going to be okay without it, but I am definitely going to miss it. I do feel like there's a certain level of free speech that we get from this app that we're not going to get anymore. It's really quite a shame, and I wish that Americans were more upset about the possibility of losing TikTok. It's our platform for freedom of speech. I mean, there are some limitations on this app. However, it is still a platform that allows certain information to be disseminated, which you cannot get on other apps. Hey, should I exchange all my money for gold? Now, I am one who protects your money. I don't tell you how to make it. I don't tell you how to invest it. I'm more than happy to put you in touch with an investment advisor if you are a client of mine who can help you determine the best investment strategy. Would I put everything into gold if it was me? Probably not. I realize that with impending World War III or other global issues, that there is a temptation to flock to gold. But no, I would not recommend that you put everything into gold. Keep some cash on hand. If you have enough to invest in some cryptocurrency, I am an advocate for Bitcoin. I'm not going to tell you whether I own any Bitcoin or own any crypto, because I think I should keep that private. But if I did own crypto, it would most likely all be in Bitcoin. So let's see, in terms of other asset protection strategies to be aware of. What do you do if you have an income? You don't have any assets, but you have an income that you want to protect. Well, the first thing I would say is get a retirement account set up. Fund your IRA, your 401k, all of that comes out before you get paid, and that's a protected asset. A third party can't force you to pay that back aside from a tax authority or divorce. Any excess cash can go into an offshore vehicle. If you happen to owe money to someone, legitimately owe money to someone, then you can sign a confession of judgment to them. They'll garnish your wages, and a third party can't step in and garnish your wages. So whatever the asset is, whatever the money is that you have, there's pretty much always a strategy to protect it. Now, certain assets are already protected. For example, if you live in Florida or Texas, your home is already a protected asset. Your retirement accounts in many states are protected assets. Now, it does depend on what state you're in. Some states limit the amount of protection that you get with your retirement account. So if you would like, go to my website, blakeharrislaw.com, and we do have an article which outlines the homestead protection for all 50 states and the creditor protection for a retirement account for all 50 states. So how do you like the new setup TikTok? Nice view of the ocean we have here. We have here. Just a little bit farther back. It's a rainy day. I was planning to go live here on Tuesday, and the weather did not cooperate, but it's okay. We still have a nice view of the ocean with the ring light camera in the back. I'm building out a new video studio here soon, and I can't wait for that. We've got a lot more great content coming your way. So what's the difference between someone who's a winner and someone who's a loser? All right, fair question, or a good question. And the truth is, it can be very hard to tell. It can be, let's take two situations. You've got one individual who he's in his early 20s, lives in a penthouse in Miami Beach, drives a fancy car. And then you've got another individual who's in their mid 30s and living at home with their parents. It may seem like number one's the winner, number two is the loser, but if you dig in a little bit deeper, you find out that number one recently received an inheritance, and as soon as they received that inheritance, they quit their job. They haven't been developing any skills. They haven't been developing any real friendships. They've picked up a girlfriend who is going to probably not stick around for more than a few years, because when that money runs out, that individual is not going to have a job, not going to have a skill, not going to have a network. The individual who's 30 actually just had their business go bankrupt. They've worked very hard in their business for the past 10 years. They developed a good work ethic. They developed a great network. They developed a grind mentality. And they took some risky bets and they ended up losing it all. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to get up the next day and they're going to go back to work, and they're going to continue to work hard. And in 5 years, the two individuals will probably switch place. So ultimately, what do I consider a winner? I consider a winner somebody who doesn't accept loss as a failure, as an option. They continue to push through no matter what. The road to success does not look like this. It's not a steady path up. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But as long as you continue to push through, you will succeed and you will be a winner. I'll follow to watch because you are a judge. I am not a judge. I am an attorney. I have never been a judge. I don't have any intentions of becoming a judge. The idea of having to go into a courtroom every single day seems very unappetizing to me. I very much prefer the t-shirt and being near the beach every single day over going into the courtroom. I have been in a courtroom before, but it's not where I want to focus my legal career. I want to focus my legal career on helping people keep their assets out of the hands of creditors and create structures so that clients don't end up having to go to court. Because you know what happens in court? You don't know what the result could be. It could be catastrophic. And if you don't want to end up in a catastrophic position, just avoid it. Get a settlement. And the best way to negotiate a settlement is to be in a position where somebody can't take your assets away from you. If your back's against the wall, you're not going to be able to negotiate a great settlement. But if your assets are protected, you can then negotiate and find a good settlement. How did you get into asset protection? Well, I decided early on that I was going to find a way to solve problems for rich people. And if you can solve rich people problems, there's a better chance of you becoming a rich person yourself. So I set out to learn the most complicated area of one of the most complicated areas of the law. And that was within trust planning, and then within trust planning, offshore asset protection. It was not an easy area to master, not an easy area to become proficient in. But after doing this for over a decade, I'm now at the point where I can very confidently communicate to my clients how to and help my clients protect their assets. It's early in my career, I had an office that was just a few blocks away from Barry Engel, the godfather of asset protection. He was a mentor of mine. I learned from him for many years. I then started to travel and met with the trust companies and the banks in various jurisdictions, and they taught me a lot more about how the business works. And in doing that, I also built out a very large professional network, which I'm able to help put my clients in touch with. So when they need anything in this industry, I have the right connection for them. What's the minimum network needed to make it cost effective to set up a Cook Islands trust? So there's no hard set minimum. We do have some clients with just a few $100,000, but generally most clients have over $1 million in assets. It doesn't have to all be liquid, but it's generally over $1 million in assets most clients have. The majority of our clients have somewhere between about $1 and $10 million in assets. It's not a tool that's reserved just for the super wealthy. We do have some very wealthy individuals with hundreds of millions of dollars in assets, and there are some Cook Islands trusts which hold billions of dollars in assets. But the majority of people who set up a Cook Islands trust have somewhere between about $1 and $10 million in assets. Part-time practicing attorney here, the bad career is never a straight line. That is correct. It can go up and down. Not following Jesus, yet you are broken. Can you solve a poor person's problems today? Can I solve a poor person's problems today? I focus on solving rich people's problems, but I'd say if you are a poor person, maybe the best thing that you could do is to figure out how to stop being poor. If you're in the United States, you have the ability to no longer be poor. It may not be quick, but if you do something with consistency, you make sacrifices, I do think that anyone in the United States can get wealthy, can become rich. It just takes consistency, it takes hard work, it takes discipline, which quite frankly, I don't think most Americans have. There's a lot of people who come from other countries with very little, but they're disciplined, they work hard, they show consistency, and they become extremely wealthy. All right, TikTok, we've got 20 minutes we're into this. We got another 10 minutes to go. YouTube as well. Okay, here's one more question that I just got. Controversial parenting tip. Controversial parenting tip. Here's what I would say. Don't give your children toys. Let your children be bored. This is where their imagination kicks in. When they don't have toys, you know what they're going to do? They're going to play with their siblings. They're going to play with their other kids in the neighborhood. They're going to play with their animals. They're going to go outside and find a stick and learn to make up their own baseball game with a stick. We're robbing our children of imaginations by keeping them inside and overwhelming them with toys. Kick them outside. Don't give them any toys, and hopefully they'll come back with a minor injury, maybe even get into a little bit of trouble themselves. It is much better that someone gets in trouble as a kid and learns consequences as a kid than they avoid consequences as a kid and don't find out the repercussions of getting into trouble. When I was a kid, I don't remember having a whole lot of toys that we played with. If we wanted some toys, we'd go and find a stick, or we would go to one of the local construction sites and steal some stuff to play with and build our own little fort. Don't steal, but get out there and live a little. I think children these days seriously lack in their communication and social skills, and the more time that you can have your children interacting with family members and friends and neighbors in the community, the more of a leg up you give them. The ability to communicate is going to take somebody farther than any other skill. Any other skill can be learned or bought over time, but communication is something that it is great to instill in a child very early on and continue to have them refine that over time, over the years to come. So which way do I see the real estate market going? Okay, so I don't like to make predictions. I have made predictions early on and been very wrong about a lot of my predictions as to where or when the market's going to happen. I will say over the course of my life, real estate has steadily increased in value. There was a short time in 2008, 2009 when real estate market did dip or crashed, but it bounced back, and it bounced back big. And I kind of see it almost as the United States has a caste system which it wants to preserve, and the real estate owners are the ones who are a member of a certain caste that as the economy goes up or down, they kind of stay together. So I do think owning real estate is probably wise if you can own it in a way that's protected, whether that's a home in Florida or Texas, or whether that's through keeping an equity strip on the property, keeping very little actual cash in the property, keeping those properties offshore. But as the properties appreciate, you get to enjoy the appreciation of that property. Do I invest in real estate myself? Quite possibly, yes, but I'm not going to share too much about my personal investments on a live stream for all of TikTok. I will share that I do have a Cook Islands trust and that I have an offshore bank account, at least one offshore bank account, but I'm not going to share which bank I bank with. So I think we've learned a little bit on this TikTok live. I think regardless of the weather out and back, we're still going to go live. We're going to TikTok are the meanest set of people I've ever come across. Being a influencer, being on social media, you have to have tough skin. If you don't have tough skin, don't try this game. You're going to have people say mean things to you. If you inherit a lot of money, which country has the safest banking system? Regardless whether you've inherited the money, you've been given the money, then the best place to hold money is Switzerland. I wouldn't think twice about putting my money anywhere in the world other than Switzerland. The United States has a very good banking system as well, relatively speaking, to the rest of the world. However, your assets in the US could be lost because of a lawsuit in the US. So to hold your assets in a safe country where you don't have to worry about the money being lost due to a lawsuit, you should look to Switzerland. You've got 28 people. I thought it would be Singapore. So Singapore is actually a great country for banking. I am an advocate of Singapore. I was there last year, met with some banks. The issue though is they're not as used to working with Americans. See, if you work with an American, you have to report to the IRS, and quite frankly, all the banks don't want to deal with the IRS reporting. But I do consider Singapore one of the better jurisdictions for banking if you can get an account open there. I would still pick Switzerland as the first choice of countries to bank, but Singapore is definitely a very good country. I don't recommend Hong Kong. Right now, Hong Kong market is in a bit of a free-for-all, and there's a lot of people who are pulling out, a lot of companies pulling out of Hong Kong. Panama is a jurisdiction I would consider in the Western Hemisphere, other than the US. I'd say Panama. I tend to stay away from Caribbean banks. Liechtenstein, I put right there on the same level as the Cook Islands. Why do I remember you from my dreams? Well, I am so honored that I've been part of your dreams. But you got to watch out with this TikTok app. I've had quite a few conversations with people in my dreams, with TikTokers in my dreams who I've never met before. So maybe stop watching TikTok before bed. I don't need to be bothering you in your dreams. What happened to my nose? Ouch! This TikTok is tough. I've been punched once in the nose in the past year. I was doing some Krav Maga training, and I went to reach for a noodle. I was punching and managed to punch myself in the nose, but other than that, I didn't know there was an issue with my nose. So thanks for that. Hong Kong has become unstable. It is. It's sad. You know what? Countries change. Countries become unstable and they become stable again. What country was very safe? There's some countries, Sweden perhaps was a great country 10 years ago. It's allowed too many people to come in that haven't properly fit in with society, and Sweden has fallen apart. El Salvador a few years ago was very unsafe. Now it seems to be one of the safest places in Central America. So over time, countries change. Yes, Hong Kong's falling apart now, but they could change some things and it could get back together. Did you start your own firm right out of law school? I did not. No, I worked for a major corporation when I first got out of law school, and then I worked for a small trust firm. It wasn't too long out of law school, within a few years, that I did start my own firm. I just saw that there was an opportunity for me to better service my clients than I was able to do by working for someone else. I wanted to be able to provide great service to my clients. So I started my own law firm a little bit over a decade ago, and I don't have any regrets about it. I've been able to service my clients a lot better than I ever would have been able to working for someone else. Can you have a Swiss branch here in the US to avoid lawsuits? You want to work with a bank that does not have a presence in the United States, because when there's a presence in the United States, you end up losing the benefit of having a bank which is not subject to U.S. court orders. So the banks we work with, they don't have any branches in the United States, and they are extremely safe. They have much higher capital reserve ratios, much more liquidity than U.S. banks. U.S. banks will often have 5 to 10% of cash on hand. Some of these Swiss banks have 25% to 40% of cash on hand, which is pretty much unheard of for a U.S. bank. The banks we work with also don't engage in other risky activity like prop trading, investment banking. They don't allow outside investors who pressure management to take risky bets. You will find much safer banks, certainly the ones that we recommend to clients in Switzerland, than you will in the United States. All right, so I've got about 60 seconds left on this live stream. Does anybody want to have one final question for the day? So it's been a pleasure speaking with everyone. If you would like to learn more about asset protection, certainly follow my channel or check out my book. I have a book which is Don't Let a Lawsuit Take Away Everything. That is for sale on Amazon. I heard Swiss banks are really strict with Americans opening accounts. So all banks are strict with Americans opening accounts. It's not just Swiss banks. And there was a time many years ago when a lot of Swiss banks were getting caught not reporting and helping U.S. individuals hide money from the IRS. And when this happened back under the Obama administration, a lot of Swiss banks said, we don't want to work with Americans. But a lot of Swiss banks said, you know what? Americans have a lot of the money in the world, and we do want their money. And we're actually going to comply with the IRS and compete for American business. So there's a lot of Swiss banks which love Americans. And I have lots of clients, the majority of my clients, almost all of my clients have a Swiss bank account as well. Well, hope you enjoyed today's live stream. Thanks for joining.